of Monday the 29th of June, though today is the 7th of July. I'm going to move a procedural motion that we go back into the meeting to be reconvened. I'll move that. I need a seconder, please. Councillor Fredericks is happy to second that. If there's no opposition, that's carried. We move on from there, but we also need a motion to allow Councillor Tysus to enter the meeting via auto link under clause 5.4. Can I please have a mover for that? Councillor Fredericks is moving that. Councillor Marty, you're happy to second that. Is there any opposition to that? No, that's carried. Can we please confirm that Councillor Tysus is online? Not yet. All right. Well, he's been given the okay. We'll
So Daryl Goodwin as well.
Councillor Goodwin. Sorry, I apologise. Councillor Goodwin is continued on from 5.4 from the last meeting, so we don't need that for him. And Councillor Goodwin, you are online.
I certainly am, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. That's lovely. All right, we move on from here. I'll do an acknowledgement of country, which is Lithgow City Council acknowledges Wiradjuri elders past and present of the Wiradjuri Nation, the original custodians of the land on which Lithgow communities reside. The Council also extends our respects to our neighbouring nations. Declaration of webcasting. I inform all those in attendance at this meeting that the meeting is being webcast and that those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements concerning any person, councillor or employee, and refrain from discussing those matters subject to closed council proceedings as indicated in clause 14.1 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Public attendance. In accordance with the mandatory requirements of the New South Wales Local Government Code of Meeting Practice, clause 1520, members of the public attending a meeting of council, A, must remain silent during the meeting unless invited by the chairperson to speak, B, must not bring flags, signs or protest symbols to the meeting, and C, must not disrupt the meeting. I'm going to hand over to Director Browning for the council meeting emergency procedures, please.
In the case of an emergency, please follow the emergency warden's instructions, who will be identified by coloured helmets and fluorescent council vests. Wardens will determine if any evacuation is required and the appropriate exit path. In the event of a fire, do not use the lift. If you require personal assistance in an evacuation, please advise a warden. In the event of an evacuation, no one is to re-enter the building until advised by the Chief Warden. The community in attendance in the public gallery are requested to scan the QR code to register your attendance.
Thank you, Director Browning. Our first item is 3.1.
Excuse me, Mayor Coleman, could I get somebody to second my motion to give Brodie Hunter a minute's silence, please? He's one of our most incredible young sports
We can do that in urgent business for you, Councillor Statham.
Thank you.
We'll move that to there. We're up to 3.1, which is the Environmental Advisory Committee meeting minutes, 13th of May, 2026, page 60. I understand that Councillor Marty, you expressed an interest in that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's a brief point. Just noting the dot points in the background.
Point of order.
Yep.
Sorry.
So I need a mover, which is Councillor Marty. Councillor Ring, you're seconding it now, Councillor Marty.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ring. Just with the background of the discussion, dot point leads in with the feral pet animal interagency field day. I'm assuming that was a feral pest interagency field day, whilst neighbours don't like some of their neighbours' pets. I don't know, we'd be having field days about it. So if we could just get that corrected. And while I'm in here, I'll just note, and thank you to Director Elwood for your staff's work on the Healthy Waterways program. I think that's a significant step forward, and just want to just note that these things are happening, and possibly the roaming cats issue relates maybe to where point 4 was heading in the current spelling.
Thank you. I understand before I give the seconder a go. Councillor Tysus, have you been able to join us?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tysus. Councillor Ring?
Yes, I'd like to add an additional point, if the mover is happy. The additional point is point 2. Council staff prepare a motion for the Local Government New South Wales Conference 2026 to advocate for residential area feral and roaming cat control in New South Wales.
You're happy with that, Councillor Marty?
I am, yeah.
It was discussed within the Environmental advisory committee meeting, and there needs to be a statewide approach to it, not just individual councils. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Tysos? Nothing from you? No? Councillor Goodwin, anything from you?
Nothing from me.
Yeah, thank you. Any further from anything? No? I'll come back to you, Councillor Marnie, for right of reply.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't intending to speak to it at a great length, but just note that the RSPCA ran a program to work with responsible cat ownership, including pilots around building enclosures that are directly connected into the house so cats could move out. So there's opportunities to revisit some of that as well. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. The next two items were moved by exception. We come down to 3.4. I understand that Councillor Ring, you wanted to move this.
Yes, I have an additional point to add
Yeah,
to
I'll
this.
just get a seconder for you. Can I please have Councillor Marnie, you're happy to second that? Councillor Ring?
The additional point is that the Infrastructure Committee undertake a site inspection of Sunny Corner Road with the interim director.
Councillor Marnie, you're happy with that?
Yes.
Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Ring?
With community concerns raised at the first part of this meeting last week, I think it's appropriate that we go out and we inspect the site and see what the issues are. And then we can discuss and it can come back to another meeting. I'd also like just to flag that the reports tabled at the Infrastructure Committee meeting in relation to Cromer Park, basically the wall is stable, there's no further movement. What movement's there is minor. Taking any further action at this point in time would be a waste of council funds.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Marnie?
Only just to continue to raise the issue of Hartley Vale Road and its condition. It's a ongoing problem. We know that there's significantly larger numbers of vehicles travelling down there. It's critical as a volume shedding tool to make sure that we don't send the entire traffic flow past the communities up on the plateau, the Dargan and Clarence people, and I know they met with Transport, and I thank Councillor Ring for attending that. So it's critical that we keep a clear focus on the condition of Hartley Vale Road.
Absolutely. Any further commentary from the councillors here on the floor? Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Tysos?
No, thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Tysos? Okay. I'll come back to you, Councillor Ring, for right of reply.
Basically, my understanding at the moment, you're looking at about 800 to 1,000 vehicles using Hartley Vale Road, which is putting a considerable amount of pressure into the Hartley area. That road was never had that sort of traffic. Our half of the road's good. The bad part is Blue Mountains, and Blue Mountains Council need to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Councillor Goodwin, you're right. Yep. Councillor Tysos, fine. Yep. I'd just like to keep checking on them just in case. All right. We move down to 3.6, which is the Audit Risk Improvement Committee minutes. Councillor Tysos, you expressed it. Councillor Tysos, sorry. Councillor Ring, you expressed an interest in this. Would you like to move them?
I'd like to move it, but I want to add an additional point.
Absolutely. I'll just get a seconder for you. Who would like to second this? Councillor.
Yeah, I think I'll probably read out the point before we get a seconder.
All right. So would you like to read it out?
Yep. Point 2, that the administration provide a timeline for the completion of the grants register required as part of the 23-24 and 24-25 Management Action List to the July 2026 Finance Committee.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Marnie, you are happy to second. Thank you for that. Councillor Ring?
There's a lot that we could talk about. I don't want to be here all night. I could spend an hour on this meeting alone. But what I found frustrating is in the management letter that comes from the auditor is the grants register has been outstanding for 2 years. We lost a $2 million grant. It should not be outstanding. It needs to be dealt with. We need a timeline and it needs to be actioned. So I'd like that to be discussed at the next Finance Committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Money?
External funds and where they're going to be set up as a reserve in most local governments will have a grants register, and the grants register gives detail to what that reserve is set aside for. They don't have to be complex documents, but they just need grant identifying codes, grant funder, the amount and the purpose of the grant. It's there available for the entire leadership team to have visibility over. Looming deadlines won't be missed when there's carryovers into the new financial year. So if you've got grants coming forward from last year, they're there in a table. I've supported Councillor Ring on this one in response to issues with grant management in the past, and I'd concur with Councillor Ring that we do need to make it a priority.
Thank you, Councillor Money. Any further commentary? Councillor Statham?
I think it's absolutely necessary. It's not a luxury. It's an absolute necessity in any council that wants to go forward to have a grant person available at all times to search and seek funding of descriptions that we wouldn't have, and funds that are out there that sometimes when you're a little understaffed, you may not get to actually see what's available. So I think, funding is everything these days when councils are going through such a hard time.
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Any further commentary? Councillor Goodwin?
No, I'm all good. Thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Tysus? No? Okay. If there's no further commentary, write a reply, Councillor Ring. Thank you. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We move to item 4.1. The other was moved by exception. And the item is the Central West Joint Organisation Board meeting, delegates report of the 26th of May. I'm happy to move this recommendation as it sits. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ring, you're happy to second? Thank you. We move straight to the report. As you could see, it was a very productive meeting, and the councillors' advocacy shopping list is something that's always front of my mind when I walk into these meetings. As you can see, I take full advantage of every single minister that comes to these meetings and asks them questions in relation to what we as a group have raised previously, continue to raise throughout, and I will continue to do that. I did want to raise one point in this report, which is on page 76, which states that when projects and the impacts affect more than one local government area, as it is usually the case with state significant development, whether they're in a res or not, it's incumbent on the state and federal governments to provide financial and other supports to identify, plan for and mitigate cumulative impacts. I think that's very important, and we will continue to do that work for the joint organisation, and I look forward to taking our advocacy shopping list to the next meeting. Councillor Ring?
Advocacy is very important. It's an important role for the Mayor or for councillors attending the National Conference, the State Conference. At the National Conference, we met with four ministers, one state member. It was very productive. You have to build up personal relationships with politicians, and you have to be able to work well with them. The Mayor's been very good at that, and to be quite frank, the Mayor and I don't always see eye to eye on a lot of things. But when we are in meetings with ministers, particularly as we were in Canberra, we can have open and frank conversations. At times there's a little bit of diversion, but it's not to the detriment of council what we're achieving. And just for some of the naysayers out there, regardless of whether or not the Mayor is a member of the Labor Party, she gives the Labor Party politicians curry. And it's fun to watch. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Any further commentary on this matter? No? Any further from any other councillor? No? I don't need it. Councillor Goodwin, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I don't need to write a reply. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. We move to a question or notice, which is from myself. It's been asked and it's been answered, so we don't need to do any more on that. Thank you very much to the staff. We have another question on notice. Councillor Ticehurst, New South Wales Parliamentary Legislation Council. Councillor Ticehurst, your question has been answered. Is there any further questions you'd like to be asked on this matter? Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm quite happy with the report. It's on the public record now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ticehurst. We'll move. Is there any further questions on these questions? No? All right, we move on from there. Councillor Ticehurst, we're up to your notice of motion, 6.1. It's Councillor Ticehurst's civil class action over ongoing closure of Great Western Highway. Do you have a move, like you're going to move it, and do you have a seconder?
Mayor, I'm going to request that this matter go back before the 27th of July meeting.
So you're going to
so that
defer
I can
it?
address it at the next meeting. Thank you.
So you'd like to defer it?
Yes, please, to the next council meeting on the 27th of July.
Yep, not a problem. So that matter's been deferred. Happy to do that. That's fine. The next notice of motion was dealt with, which was from Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Ticehurst, you have another one that's here in front of me, which is Councillor Ticehurst's Office of Local Government Circular Consultation on the Councillor Conduct Reforms. Did you want to defer that as well?
No, that one can simply go through. I'll move the recommendation.
So you're going to move the recommendation as it sits. All right. So Councillor Ticehurst is moving. What are you moving, Council? And if you'd like to speak to it, though I do need a seconder. Councillor Fredericks has put her hand up, so she's seconding it. So if you'd like to speak to that now, Councillor Ticehurst.
Thank you, Mayor. The matter's just in there for the public record as well. This making the council and the council's aware of the council conduct reforms that are coming out in submissions. It's up to the council whether it wishes to make a submission. That's up to itself or the individual councillors. But it's just for the public record that this is now being put out by the New South Wales Office of Local Government. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ticehurst. Councillor Frederick.
Pretty much self-explanatory.
Thank you. Any further commentary on this matter? Okay, if there's no commentary, Councillor Ticehurst, you don't need to write a reply. I'll put it to the councillors. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you, Councillor Ticehurst.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Fredericks, you've got a notice of motion here, which is traffic management during Great Western Highway closure and diversion route. Would you like to move that, speak to it, and do you have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Ticehurst. Councillor Fredericks?
All right, so I pretty much brought this forward because for the second long weekend in a row, we got slammed pretty hard. But this time it was a lot worse. We had traffic build up from Coolwell Road right through to every straight to Tank Street. And it was the same from Hassan Street right through to Bridge Street. And then we even had Clyde Street and the little streets on Mort Street heading towards Tupley Road, chock-a-block full of cars as well. I can openly admit that my previous idea of having a secondary diversion route on local infrastructure will never work on a long weekend. I can openly admit that. Might work during normal times to help make space for trucks on the main diversion route, but there's no way it can work on long weekends or when there's big events out in the Central West. I'm moving the recommendation because one thing I did notice that on the King's Long weekend, we didn't have many TFSNW employees in the actual area. We had them up on Chipley Road to do the stop and go for the trucks coming up and down Scenic Hill, and we had them out on the highway adjacent to the Coolwell Road entry. But actually in Lithgow, no. It was the coppers that had a car stationed out adjacent to Red Rooster with their emergency signals on, with the light, with the writing flashing. Road ahead closed, use detour. It was local coppers that were at the Bridge Street and Mort Street crossing, helping to get traffic to flow better. Come long weekends, we need to have an actual plan in place to try and prevent what happened from repeating.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, what do you expect? It's a long weekend. But here's the thing. Our residents were abused for trying to get in and out of their driveways. Our residents couldn't get to the shops because of the backlog of traffic trying to get through on the diversion route. There needs to be stronger plans in place. 100% there needs to be plans in place, which is why I've asked for Transport New South Wales to provide council with a written traffic management plan prior to each long weekend, public holiday period, or other forecast peak traffic events. And the plan needs to detail proposed traffic management measures, staffing resources, traffic control locations, communication arrangements, contingency plans, things like that. They even spoke about it, I think it was in the April set rep, where they were going to use the emergency broadcasting thing that we get for fires and that to notify people, okay, you've got a major delay here, you may want to avoid travelling. I'm yet to see that put in action. I'm yet to see the flashing pedestrian activated lights at the crossings to be installed. I'm yet to see the 3 main crossings on the diversion route be raised. This is about safety, but it's also about, we might not have a choice but to aid TFSNW on these type of weekends. And I know council's trying to distance itself as much as possible from the diversion route because it is a state issue. But we may not have a choice but to actually go, okay, here's your traffic management plan. We know this area, and this area is going to be inundated. We will put up traffic controllers there to help try and ease the pressure because obviously you can't provide them. We are going to have to work with them on these type of things, whether we want to or not. And if that means that we end up throwing, okay, we've spent $20,000 on traffic controllers this weekend to help with your diversion route, pay us back, and we can come up with that type of agreement with them, great. But more needs to be done because we cannot have a repeat of the King's Long weekend. We can't. Not when you've got traffic going all the way down past the Marangaroo petrol station or almost at the Wellerawang turnoff. And like I said, every street, chock-a-block full of traffic. You had them going up, trying to go down Hartley Vale and Browns Gap Road and all of that. Like, we can't do that anymore. And from what Miss Browning has told me, we will be able to start virtually closing roads, which should aid. Is that correct?
Director Browning, would you like to answer that?
Through you, Mayor Coleman. Yeah, it's outlined within the management response. We've had some success, and we're advised today in a meeting that there's been some success in being able to trigger those responses as needed. So it stops Google redirecting people with down roads that aren't suitable for a diversion.
Thank you, Director Browning.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is just pretty much trying to come up with solutions because they say 12 months, but it could be longer. We know how things spiral and get out of control. So we get this type of stuff down pat, ready to go, and we can actually activate it. We might prevent local infrastructure from being ruined more like it was on the long weekend.
Thank you, Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Tysus?
Thank you, Mayor. I second the motion. I'm quite happy. I commend Councillor Fredericks on what she's put forward and what she's spoken about tonight. The other things I wanted to add was Transport for New South Wales needs to look at what the GPSs are doing in regards to where all these vehicles are going, because as soon as there's a blockage, it sends them somewhere else. So they need to try and work something like that. I have a suggestion from a member of the public that may be up to Transport for New South Wales to liaise with New South Wales Police and try and use their, for example, their missing persons number of all the number fours to, on those long weekends where they're having traffic issues, to send out regular messages over the 444 numbers that are used for missing persons, so they can isolate the message to what's happening in Lithgow at the time, and they can keep them updated, not with one message, but repeated messages to inform them that there's no way around that by using your GPS. The only way through it is to follow the directions that Transport for New South Wales has put in place. So if it's something that can be raised at the committee, Transport for New South Wales, the police and that sort of thing, to try and use that urgency message to try and get people through. And if they all stay on the one route, then maybe it's a lot easier to get them filtered through the township one way or coming back either way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tyson. Any further commentary on this matter? Councillor Statham?
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. I think it's extremely important that we keep Transport New South Wales, that they maintain the visible opportunities that they have every time there's a long weekend. Because I know for a fact that one of my relatives, it took 5 minutes 17 to get down to Richmond, and that traffic was still very heavy, and there was a man trying to get out onto his driveway. He'd been there for 2 hours, 12 minutes trying to back, and nobody would let him out. And apparently his neighbours were complaining to the council down there, and I don't know whether they're doing anything to help assist that, because apparently people have been late, and Mark Levy had it on his show. They were late for doctor's appointments, all kinds of things. So I think it's very important on a long weekend that council should do anything at all possible, if possible, to maintain a good presence on those areas, because it is a very difficult time for people travelling to the Central West, and we need to not give up. We need to keep trying to avoid accidents at least.
I've got an amendment. I'm going to move that Lithgow City Council notes the management comment. I just need a seconder. Councillor Ring, you're happy to second that? And I'll just speak to it now. The day after the long weekend, I was on the phone to Transport for New South Wales and the General Manager in regards to what occurred in our great city of ours. And administration have been meeting with Transport for New South Wales regularly, constantly, putting forward ideas and options. They are talking about traffic management improvements. They are putting forward ideas. Even as early as this afternoon, the General Manager had a briefing with Transport for New South Wales and will continue to do so. We're on the task force as well, so we're constantly feeding information into Transport for New South Wales. And yes, it's difficult, but we are determined to ensure that community is represented not on a weekly basis, but on a daily basis, and we move through the process. Councillor Ring?
Look, I agree. Look, I have access to both chairs of the task force. I've also got access to Minister Saffin, Minister for Reconstruction and Small Business. I've been taking a slightly different angle, but consistent with the Mayor and the administration. The problem on the last long weekend was Traffic Control in Sydney put out a notice that there was a major delays on the Chifley Road. So what happens? The Google Maps, all the digital maps, put the diversions out. People see it, they go for the diversions. I spoke with the Transport for New South Wales chair of the task force, and he made it very clear that they were already at that stage in negotiations with council and the police to implement hard and digital closures of side roads. So the next major events, we will not see traffic coming down the back roads. They should never come down our roads. And I do have empathy for, come on, get a new timekeeper, please, seriously. I do have empathy for our residents, but we also need to remember that what we're going through at the moment, Blue Mountains residents have been going through for the last 30 years. Before the closure of Victoria Pass, traffic was banking up to Rivulet. It is a problem. And when you look at the figures, we're probably lost 2,000 to 3,000 vehicle movements a day going west. It is impacting a whole lot of people differently. And look, let's be honest, Transport for New South Wales don't get it right, and they're happy to be told. Well, not happy, but they'll listen. And we are getting changes and movements. And there are concerns. I did notice there's now 2 traffic controllers for the crossing for Lithgow Primary School. There hasn't been 2 there for a long time. Reason? They couldn't get staff. Same reason for a lot of people. I think what's being done is the best. It's the same with some of the trucking companies' oversized vehicles. The permits they need, the departments are down staff. It's taking time. They're doing the best they can to help them, but if you haven't got the staff, you can't do it. I think what's happening is the best we have, and we have to be working on it. The traffic plan that was agreed is not set in stone. It will be tweaked. It should have been rolled out faster. It wasn't, but they're relying on contractors to do it, and contractors don't always get it right, as we've recently found out in the last week or so. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further debate on this topic?
Yeah, Mayor Coleman.
Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Coleman. Our community is dealing with the very real frustration of this traffic matter. The June long weekend placed enormous pressure on the local roads and the behaviour described. The rat running, speeding, signal failures and attempts to access closed roads is unacceptable. Residents deserve safer streets, reliable access to their homes and confidence that our agencies are managing the detour effectively. However, despite the seriousness of these issues, I can't support the motion in its current form, but I'm happy to support the motion, the amendment. The reasons is that the actions proposed are already occurring. And in some cases, the motion duplicates or conflicts with the established processes that are working and improving it. Management's been clear. Council met with Senior Transport for New South Wales on the June the 10th. Traffic for New South Wales have committed to implementing lessons learnt from the June long weekend. Temporary resident access only restrictions are already being explored. Traffic New South Wales will present proposed traffic management improvements directly to councillors. Weekly meetings occur now between Council and Transport for New South Wales. The General Manager attends fortnightly community coordination task force meetings. The Mayor and Deputy Mayor have been strongly advocating to Minister Atchison and Saffin. Local knowledge is already being incorporated into the traffic management planning. In other words, the intent of this motion is already being delivered without requiring a formal resolution. So the evidence shows that the opposite, that the council has been proactive, vocal and persistent. The Mayor, Deputy Mayor and General Manager and senior staff are already deeply engaged. Passing this motion risks duplicating our work, creating unrealistic expectations and undermining the collaborative approach that's already proving results. The better pathway is to continue with that strong advocacy that we're doing. It's already underway, maintaining close engagement with Transport for New South Wales and allow the upcoming traffic management improvements to be presented to councillors as committed. For these reasons, I'll vote for the amendment, but not the motion, if the amendment becomes a motion.
Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Do I have any further debate on the amendment?
Yes, I do, Mayor.
Councillor Tyson, then Councillor Marnie.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't support the amendment, and I do so on the basis that the 6 things that are set out in the motion set out council's position after the long weekend. I think it's important that it's on the record. The fact that they've fixed it up, or they've attempted to fix it up, or they're fixing it up, or whatever, we need to make a clear statement that we want all these things done after the long weekend in preparation for the next long weekend or any other long weekend or just a simple weekend. We need to make a statement as a council. The fact that we're on this committee is neither here nor there. We need to do something and make a statement. And that's what Councillor Fredericks has done on behalf of the council, indicated exactly what the council's position should be. The amendment and the management comments just say that the committee's got it under control. I'm not concerned. I'm happy for them to have it under control, but they haven't got it all under control. And we need to fall back. There needs to be a fallback position on these 6 dot points to show that the council's position at the time was correct. This was put in many weeks ago, and prior to the last council meeting and this adjourned one. So it's for that reason I can't support the amendment. Just that we note the management comments. We need to make a clear statement to the public, those who drove through on that weekend, that we are doing something about the whole situation. We certainly don't want it to occur again. And the fact that we make a statement by the 6 dot points puts it on the record. It also puts it in front of the ministers, Transport for New South Wales, and the committee itself. So that's the reason I can't support the amendment, and I'll be voting for the resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Tyson. Councillor Marnie?
Thank you, Mayor. I thank the councillor for a motion. The issue with the traffic management is a changing beast every single week. We go from 1 week, we've had an adjourned meeting, and we've got another set of days in between. I think the point that Councillor Fredericks makes is right, that we need to be assured that a traffic plan is in place following the experience of the long weekend. I believe we do have that commitment. So, and I'd also make the point that I'm not having a critique on any councillor or any member of the public. I'm putting my faith in the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor to take forward the issues that I'm bringing back from either meetings at Hartley or meetings with individuals. I thank the Mayor for her advocacy around drainage issues. And people might say, well, look, that's got nothing to do with nothing in regard to this. If the intersection near the still shop floods, the whole road stops until we resolve it. Now, we have had action taken to address some of the restricting elements of rail infrastructure. And I thank the Mayor because I've asked for you on my behalf and on behalf of businesses to advocate on that. We now have a situation that there's a reduced risk. We've also asked that the fence be replaced to get rid of the collection point for debris in an event. Now, whilst a larger percentage of the state is, or the Central West is in drought, or the Central Tablelands area, or drought affected, it's hard to recognise that when you stand out on a football field on Sunday and it feels like it's about -1 and drizzling all day. If we get a 70 mil event within an hour, that intersection will flood again, as it has flooded routinely over the years. The fact that Transport has said that they will intervene, we've got an undertaking from them, that's been my pathway, and I thank Councillor Fredericks for her continuing advocacy on this. But I think what's happening is it's a moving feast. Every week that goes by, it's moving to another point. So we need to have currency around the advocacy. And yes, I concur with Councillor Tyson that we need to have a guarantee that there's a plan in place before we get to the back end of the school holidays, which will test it, and also other events coming up soon. I'm happy to support the amendment in that it's a currency issue, and we need to be in the game every day, every week.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Any further commentary on the amendment? Okay. I'll write a reply on the amendment, Councillor Fredericks. Doesn't matter, you still original motion. You can still do a write a reply.
Well,
Actually, you're right. I need to put the amendment. Sorry, you're correct. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment, please raise your hand.
Mine's raised.
Raised. Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. You're against. Yep, got that. The matter's been carried. The amendment now becomes the motion. Now you have right to reply.
Well, we've just pretty much said what TFSNW is doing so far is working when we clearly know it's not. So thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. We
I'm
move
against the division too, thanks.
division. So can I please have a division? So Councillor Tyson has called it. All those raise your hands in favour of the motion. Councillor Statham, Councillor Evangelides, Councillor Ring, Councillor Smith, Councillor Marnie, Councillor Coleman, and Councillor Goodwin. Yes.
Yep.
Those against, please raise your hand. Councillor Fredericks and Councillor Tyson. The matter was still carried. Thank you. We move on from there, and we're up to 6.6, which is Councillor Marnie, reactivation of the S Bank Rail Heritage Centre Walgan Valley Wilderness Railway Committee. Councillor Marnie, if you'd like to move your motion and speak to it, but I need a seconder, please. Councillor Smith?
I'll second it.
Oh, no, Councillor Goodwin's done it. Okay, thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Councillor Marnie?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Goodwin. This is a committee that sits outside of council, but there is council representation. Now, it hasn't met for some time, and I think that's a bit of a lost opportunity. Rail tourism plays an important segment of our local tourism industry, and where we can, if we can have those players moving out of a siloed situation into a singular committee, there is, from my understanding, some willingness from Zigzag Railway, obviously a very successful enterprise. There's certainly a willingness from Lithgow State Mine Railway. There's also Lachlan Historic Rail, which will run rail excursions out into regional areas that often start in Lithgow. And this is the actual committee needs to play a role in this, that it needs to look at the terms of reference and also the title of the committee. Obviously, the Walgan Valley Wilderness Railway option is no longer a possibility there. So I think there is that desire in those groups to come together. They have an opportunity to bring matters in front of either the tourism committee or directly to the council. So essentially, I'm moving a recommendation that the Mayor and Administration provide support to reactivate the S Bank Rail Heritage Centre Walgan Valley Wilderness Railway Committee, to provide a forum for the rail tourism across the Lithgow government region, and as part of the reactivation process and in partnership with those key stakeholders, Council review the committee's terms of reference to maximise its representative role for rail tourism ventures in the region and improve linkages with key council committees. I'll wrap it up in a nutshell. It's just an opportunity for us as a council to continue a conversation with those sectors. I know there's some hubs where there's interplay with other nature-based rec that the committee may have an opportunity to enter that conversation and perhaps be able to integrate some things that may be going on in that segment. There's obviously some issues, and I'm sure people have raised the fact that there used to be a bridge and there ain't a bridge in N Street. So that impacts on some of the rail activities in the valley, but that's part of the bigger conversation. So I'll leave it at that. Mayor, thank you.
Councillor Goodwin, if you could.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll support this notice of motion, because rail tourism is one of Lithgow's strongest and most distinctive visitor economic assets. We're at the point where coordination and collaboration and a shared strategic voice are not only beneficial, but they are essential. Lithgow is something that very few regional areas can claim. There's a cluster of national significant rail heritage experiences: the Zigzag Railway, the State Mine Railway, S Bank House Museum, State Mine Heritage Park, and the heritage rail excursions that begin or pass through Lithgow. These are attractions that draw visitors, support local businesses, and celebrate rail and industrial story that defines our region. Those experiences don't operate in isolation. They rely on the shared infrastructure, shared marketing, and shared volunteer capacity, and our shared advocacy. When we work together, the whole sector grows. When they operate separately, the opportunities are missed. Reactivating the S Bank Heritage Centre Walgan Valley Wilderness Railway Committee provides exactly the kind of forum that we need. A place where operators, volunteers, council and tourism stakeholders can come together, coordinate priorities and speak with one voice. This is not about creating new bureaucracy. It's about unlocking the value of what already exists. A refreshed committee with updated terms of reference will help us. They'll help us strengthen collaboration between rail operators, improve linkage with council's tourism and heritage committees, identify shared challenges and opportunities, support grant applications and investment attraction, It enhances visitor experiences across the entire rail tourism network, and it will ensure Lithgow's rail heritage continues to grow as a major economic contributor. This is a practical, low-cost, high-value initiative. It builds on existing strengths and supports local operators, and it aligns with our broader tourism economic development goals. And I fully support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Before I let you go, Councillor Ring, I'm wondering if the mover and the seconder wouldn't mind if I suggest a third point, which is that Councillor Marnie is actually the council's representative. I note that you say that the mayor and the administration provide support, which is great, and in principle, I'm happy to do that. But I don't have the time to sit on this particular committee, considering what's currently taking place with the Great Western Highway and the advocacy I do in that space. So I'm hoping that Councillor Marnie, if the council agrees, is the council's representative. Are you happy to take that on?
Mayor Coleman, can I also suggest...
Sorry, Councillor Goodwin?
Sorry, Mayor Coleman, can I also suggest if Councillor Mahoney is on that I can be a seconder on that as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think both of you can work wonders in this space. So
Yeah.
Councillor Marnie and Councillor Goodwin?
I concur with Councillor Goodwin. I thought you summed it up very well in your statement. Obviously, Councillor Goodwin has an interest in this area as well, and I'd be very happy to work with Councillor Goodwin to try and progress this matter.
Okay, so if we can have a third point, Councillor Marnie and Councillor Goodwin, that both Councillor Marnie and Councillor Goodwin work in partnership as the council's representatives. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, okay. You're happy with that? Okay, if that's okay. I'll hand over to Councillor Ring.
Thank you. I'm confused. I have no problem with the overall concept, but these committees were never a Section 355 committee. We're not being asked to make this, I believe, a 355 committee. Is that correct? For you, Mayor, if I could get clarification.
Councillor Marnie, this is not a 355 committee. Are you looking at a 355, or is it something outside of council's realm?
It sits out. My understanding is, and I can be corrected if I'm wrong, it sits outside of those committees. We're a council rep on it, as I'm on a couple of other committees, and a few councillors here are on committees that sit outside the council committees. Whether it should become a 355, I don't see the urgency for that. So if I'm maybe implying that in what I'm saying, that's not necessarily where I'm heading.
That mean, if it's a 355, it means that we have to allocate staff resources. If it sits out the realm, then the committee, you're just a rep on that committee. I think it's not a 355. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think sorry, Councillor Ring, I'll return this. You asked a relatively simple question, but anyway, I've given a slightly complex answer. But I think the point Councillor Goodwin made was it's a very low-level cost because we're participating with a group of operators who want to work together, but the rewards that could potentially come out of it are significant. So I acknowledge what you've said in your speech to it, Councillor Goodwin. So I'm happy to leave it in its current form, and when we review the terms of reference, look at if there's any need to move elsewhere.
When I was first on council, 2016, that first term, this was part of the external committees that councils were put on. I was on it. I really don't know that it's appropriate for council to be writing the terms of reference for it. This is still similar, I think, to what those committees were. They're external committees. They're run by external people. I'm more than happy to have councillors on those committees, but I don't think it's our role to actually write their terms of reference or to provide administrative support. If through those meetings they come back and they want to set up a 355, which would not be, I believe, to their advantage, I think just all we need to do tonight is actually move that Councillor Goodwin and Councillor Mahoney are council representatives on this committee. Anything for future can be brought back to council if so desired. I'll just leave it at that.
Councillor Marnie, Councillor Goodwin.
I'm happy for the Councillor Mahoney's put up as his recommendation.
Right, well, let's just leave it at that. Councillor Marnie?
Thank you, Councillor Gordon. I think perhaps just a slight rewording of point 2.
Yep.
As part of the reactivation process, that the stakeholders review the committee's terms of reference to and I just take out that in partnership and council, and leave that review to the actual membership of the committee to undertake that task.
I think that will help. Councillor
Okay.
Goodwin?
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yep.
good. All right, so if we get that rewording.
Yep.
Just.
I'll give you my handwritten notes, Trinity, if it helps.
Could you please approach Trinity
Yeah.
and just, the minute taker and assist? Did the minute taker get that? Thank you, Councillor Marnie and Councillor Goodwin. I think that alleviates any cost on council and alleviates any issues that Councillor Ring has. Is there any further debate on this matter? No? All right. Well, Councillor Marnie, if you want to write a reply, no, you're happy for me to put it? All right, so I'll put it. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. That's carried. Business of great urgency. Councillor Statham, you said something early in the meeting. If you'd like to like to deal with it now, you can.
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. Can I please move a motion to have a minute's silence for Kobe Hunter, his parents and his family? I hope I can get a seconder.
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you.
So you'll move that. Now you want to do the minute silence now?
Yes.
Okay,
Like
well, I'll determine that it's business of great urgency.
Thank you.
It's been accepted. We now have a minute of silence. So if you'd like to everybody like to take their microphones
I would like
off.
to actually do the minute silence after I have spoken.
Okay, so you want to speak
Thank
first.
you.
All right, so if you'd like to speak.
Because some people here may not be aware of the tragic loss. Last Thursday night, I got news to say a young Lithgow sports person who I've met several times had been tragically killed at Mount Lambie. He was one of Lithgow's amazing sports stars, with particularly golf, football and basketball, along with other activities in that area. He certainly will be missed. He was a great young guy he was role model to a lot of people. Unfortunately, he was killed in a tragic accident, and I think that due to his notoriety in, for instance, the Lithgow Golf Club, his grandfather and his father are possibly the most well-known golfers out there, and this man has been lost to all of us. He had great talent, and I'd like to sincerely thank his parents for having such an upstanding young son, and our sympathy goes out to his parents and Nikki and Cameron, Darren, and his family and his friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Would you like us to do the minute silence now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so everybody can take their microphones off, please. Minute timer. Thank you, councillors. The minute's over.
I'd like to thank Mayor Coleman and the councillors for seconding that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Statham. Is there any further urgent business? No? Then the meeting...
Trinity's birthday?
Councillor Ring. The meeting has now closed at 7:25. Thank you. Councillors, travel safe.